this is what is so cruel about that disease, is that it changes that person. That is the cruel thing.
It's emotionally gut-wrenching on the caregiver. I can't tell you how difficult this disease, it changes your life forever.
And I remember thinking, that is not right. This is not right. There's nothing different or taboo or scary about Alzheimer's. People just don't understand it. And somebody needs to do something about that.
We know what the end result of Alzheimer's is going to be with Mom. It's undefeated. It's going to win. But nothing says that it has to also take my dad.
He would have gone to the ends of the earth to fix Barbara until the very last days of her life. He was still trying to find someone who could fix it.
Mom was diagnosed in 2014 with early onset Alzheimer's. When we got the diagnosis, we were very unaware of just exactly what early onset Alzheimer's was, and almost to the point of ignorance. We felt like, I know personally for me, that early onset I thought was going to be something that was in the early stages, and it wouldn't be anything that we would have to seriously deal with until she was well into her 80s. And we were so wrong about that. And so within a year's time, we had seen a drastic progression in the disease to the point where we knew that something needed to be done, that we couldn't do this by ourselves. And with my dad as the primary caregiver, we needed help, we needed answers.
Being a caregiver is a family crisis. Caregiving in general is a family crisis. And the opportunity to be a caregiver to someone really can be the greatest gift that you give to someone, but it can also destroy a family. It can destroy health, it can deplete your finances, it can cause chaos amongst a family dynamic if you don't have the proper tools and if you don't know where to go for help.
Being isolated was the worst part, because we always had people around. We did things. We traveled. We went everywhere, and we could. He was the most wonderful person to talk to, because he was just fun to talk to, and he was fun to listen to. He had great, wonderful stories, and wonderful things happened, and I lost all that. Alzheimer's took that away, you all, and of course you know that.
Caring for someone with Alzheimer's disease is the most difficult thing you do, because it's emotionally exhausting, it's physically exhausting, and it's mentally exhausting, because you're just trying to stay one step ahead of them. And what you discover is that caregivers are literally trying to keep their head above water all the time.
The first thing I turned to was the playbook, which I could read and understand what Alzheimer's was. And then I could figure out the things that I needed to do and needed to say to Bill to help him through this. And Betsy and Molly would come and visit, and it was really a blessing. It really was. It was really a blessing.
When you're thrown into this world of caregiving, you don't know anything about the disease. And I will tell you that it was the most difficult thing I ever did in my life, was taking care of my mother.
Really amazing to get to watch my mom and my aunt care for my grandmother and watch the leadership skills of my grandfather pull the family together and watch everyone come together like a team.
Being able to have somebody that you can talk to, that you can meet with face to face, it's more than somebody on the other end of the line. It's more than talking to a stranger on an 800 number. It's people that come into your home and become part of your family, become part of the process, because they have, not only have they educated themselves in the disease, but they've lived it.
Coach Broyles was always a positive person. He was always convinced that we were going to win. And therefore, in his positive approach to Alzheimer's, he was not going to talk about the bad parts of it and the devastating effects of it. He was going to talk about how to make it better.
We discovered that there really wasn't anything out there for caregivers. A lot of information on the disease, but not for caregivers. And that was what was so needed, because we needed help. We didn't understand how to take care of my mom. Sometimes after he got off a phone conversation with someone who was a caregiver, you could see that it had affected him. He normally was very strong and didn't show his emotions, but he would just say, "We have got to do something to help these people," knowing that it was also do something to help us. So it was an impetus toward writing the book. Was his way of fixing it. That's the only way he knew to fix it. He couldn't stop the progress of the disease, but he could fix it for as many people as possible by helping them learn how to go day to day through this journey.
The reassurance that the Broyles Foundation has given us with him and reassuring him that he is doing the right thing, because this is a chaotic disease. It changes from day to day. It's extremely hard to stay on top of. And so being able to provide us with access to information and options and ideas and suggestions on how to try to combat this disease as best we can from a day-to-day basis has been really helpful.
The playbook was, I cannot say enough about it. It was wonderful. It was my guide. It was my playbook, and helped me through lots of moments that were difficult to get through with.
Our foundation is a quote from my grandpa. Everyone has compassion. When that compassion turns into passion, it propels action. And our foundation and everyone in there is incredibly passionate about doing something every day to help caregivers find hope, to give them reassurance, to give them a game plan so that they can have a better quality of life, so that they can find within themselves and within their families the compassion it takes to be a caregiver, that unconditional love it takes to be a caregiver, that the hope that they need, the positive attitude that it takes. You have to look at caregiving as a privilege and not a duty. All of those things are the epitome of what it takes to be a caregiver, and everything that my grandpa represented as a coach and that my grandmother represented as a person.